Welcome to coffeeis.me podcast, where me means you, or more precisely, us. This is the show where your host, Valerian, without using any interrogation techniques, convinces coffee professionals to reveal their secrets to teach and inspire you to make better coffee and earn a few bucks on the side, if that's what you fancy. Let the show begin.
Hello coffee friends, welcome to coffeeis.me podcast second part. I hope your summer is eventful but also a bit relaxing as it should be, right? In my case, I spent amazing time in Hawaii on the island of Maui, and I visited the farm there, Maui Grown, which used to be a kind of free tour, but nowadays it's gated community. I was lucky, there was one lady who let me in, and I always enjoy this. Anytime I'm in Maui, I go to this farm and just, enjoy the plants. That's kind of dream of every coffee nerd, enjoying their coffee plant, right? I am impressed. You guys made me so happy. I got so many feedbacks about the previous episode with Ryan. And that's awesome because that's what I'm doing this podcast. That's what I'm doing it is. So we can create certain communications. We can create friendships. So this is really, really awesome. It works. So reached out via email, excellent. I answered almost all of the emails. If not, I'm really sorry. I kind of lost it perhaps. I don't know, I was on holiday, so I'm sorry about that. I'll do my best to answer it next time. Our Facebook group for coffeeis.me is growing and had a very fruitful and very interesting discussion about the previous episode. If you're not a member, you should do so. The easiest way is when you go to coffeeis.me, our website, and on the top you have a link to community. So just click on that and join our Facebook group. I'll approve you, most likely. No, for sure, I will approve you. If you're a coffee guy, I will approve you for sure. And one of the most exciting things is I got my first review on iTunes. Yay! It's from Papa Bear, who owns 4 coffee people in Florida. Well, his review is something like, "Thank you for this. I still need to know about financing, shares or angel lenders. Thanks for helping and hear you later." Well, I'll try to get to this topic with somebody else because I just got my money, So when I started my company, I did not borrow money. I did not need any lenders. I just did it, I collected some friends and we put our money together. That's how we started. One of our partners left, so we had to buy him out. That was kind of expensive, but, he wanted to go away, and so we made it happen. And as far as I know, Ryan so far has no investors. And if you heard the previous episode, he had one guy who he found. It's a real estate agent, and they might do something together. So we don't have that experience yet, but as soon as I will hear from one of our guests that they do, I'll ask them about that. Okay, so how about that? I hope this works for you. So thank you for the review, and hey guys, just go ahead and give me some more reviews on that iTunes. I love those. Okay, enough of bragging. Here is the second episode with Ryan O'Rourke, who is starting his company, Ironclad Coffee Roasters. If you did not hear the previous episode, I would highly recommend it because Ryan reveals a lot of cool things, how to buy a coffee roaster and how to start a coffee business. In this episode, we are going to talk more about branding, how to select your name, and also I will reveal a mistake I did. I did a very big mistake when I was selecting my name, for my coffee roasting company in Europe. We also talk about how can you make a logo, where can you get the people to hire. And it can be a kind of expensive process, but yeah, you can spend $5 and we'll let you know how. We'll talk also about social media, and I will reveal a kind of trick we use now in Green Plantation. Pretty cool, and I'm very excited to talk about it. We'll talk about websites and also pop-ups. Are they good? Are they bad? There's so much more in this episode, so just let's do it, right? But before we do it, hey, let's hear the message from our sponsor.
This show is brought to you by Bootcamp Coffee, online education for coffee roasters and professionals. Subscribe to bootcampcoffee.com today and unlock the quality of your coffee.
So in the second part of the interview, I want to talk to you more about, decisions we make before we start the coffee roasting company or any company, and maybe they're not related so much to coffee as to business and with your branding. So first, let's talk about your name. How did you choose your name?
First thing was just drawing on a piece of paper, like anything that came to mind. Just writing tons of stuff down, phrases, words, ideas, all sorts of stuff. And then I, bounced it off some people's heads. Careful not to bounce it off too many people's heads, because an overdoing input can just give you more questions than you have answers. So bounce it off a few people's heads that I value their input and I think have a pretty good idea about what's current, what's good, basically. So that was the first thing. And then I narrowed the list down. Then I thought about, okay, well, we decided on Richmond, Virginia as the city. Thought about things that are important and have meaning locally to Richmond. So that narrowed the list even further. And then I thought, well, okay, I had this, I had so many others, and I was just about ready to decide on between one or two of them. And then it popped into my head just at the very last minute about this ironclad coffee and the concept of ironclad. The Richmond Flying Squirrels are the Double A minor league baseball team in Richmond. And when they came to town, the Richmond Braves have moved out, and Richmond was looking for a new team. The San Francisco Giants, kind of not too far from where you are there, Valerian. Oh, yeah. They decided to move their Double A team to Richmond. And then there was this big contest of, hey, help us name the team. So everyone had input, and you got to submit your names. And then if they selected your name, you got some kind of prize. I forget what it was, but one of the names I submitted was the Richmond Ironclads, because I thought that had huge meaning. And I know it has huge meaning locally to Virginia, but also specifically Richmond, because of the ironclad ships that were basically invented there and changed, at least in Virginia, central Virginia, changed the face of seafaring forever, as well as the Tredegar Iron Works being right there in Richmond and such an important part of the history of Richmond. So ironclads seemed perfect for me for the baseball team. Well, they obviously didn't choose that name. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was perfect. Instead, they're the Richmond Flying Squirrels. I'm not going to say anything more about that, what I think about that. But ironclad. So this popped into my head, and I was like, hey, that would be actually perfect. Not only because of the physical iron aspect of Richmond and the history of iron in Richmond, but also because that term ironclad means something as far as integrity. So like when we say, you make an ironclad promise, you have an ironclad agreement, it means integrity, it means honesty, it means being straightforward, no fooling around, something that can be trusted. So I thought, this is exactly what I want to be known for. This is what we want to be known for. And so that was, I think, at the very last minute that popped into my head. And everyone so far, unless they're just not telling me, unless they're being nice, everyone seems to really love the name.
Yeah, that's one of the negative things, asking your friends, that they go like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
They just want to please you. But yeah, I like that name. You send me that name over Facebook, and I'm a guy who is old enough to say the truth and not care, and I like that name. Only reservation I had was kind of the military aspect of it, which I know in the United States many times is not very welcome. But I love the whole steampunk concept. That was the first thing which came to my mind. It's kind of like industry steampunk, kind of like you have those bolts on those ships, right? And
yes.
just looks very kind of like industrial, like coffee, so a lot of smoke and just, I like that.
Exactly, yeah. And that was when we had decided on that name, I told my designer, I've got a friend who's a designer, and I told her, okay, this is the name, and we want to go for kind of a steampunk light look and kind of brand, not like full on hardcore steampunk, but just a kind of a hint of steampunk. And I think what she came up with really pulled it off. And then as far as the military aspect, that's why we wanted to, that's there in the background, although it's not even fully just military, because yes, the ironclad ships in the Civil War, that's where it came about. But what resulted because of that, because of the innovation in the Civil War, like we said, it changed it changed sailing and seafaring forever. Commercial, passenger, every, all the commercial ships and stuff, they're made of what? They're made of metal. So it's not that's there in the background, I guess. We don't want to overemphasize the military war aspect of it. That's just kind of there in the background. But the main thing we want to emphasize with Ironclad through branding, through taglines and things like this, is the integrity aspect of it, the honesty aspect of it.
I love the fact that you've chosen something local. And here I made my mistake, because when I picked the name Green Plantation, actually, I have to be honest, my wife picked it. And she did a great job, because I love the name. I really love the name.
Yeah.
The problem is that I forgot to realize that people in Slovakia don't speak English that much.
Right.
So for them, it's too long. Green Plantation, you have double E there, right? And plantation is all weird for Slovak. They cannot really pronounce it. So when I realized this in maybe 2013, we rebranded, and we still use the name Green Plantation because that's our name. It's, after 10 something years, you don't want to change that. But what we we kind of shorten it, and we did GP Kava. Kava is coffee in Slovak. So our domain is also GP Kava, because GP stands for Grand Prix, and that actually works very well because people can remember that, So it's
Yes.
GP, something fancy, and Kava, coffee, right? So people cannot remember. People who meet first time our company, they probably remember it by GP, but very soon, when they become our customers and our fans, they start to remember the Green Plantation. That's how we solve the situation. But I think that focusing on focusing on something what people can remember easily, perhaps something local like you chosen, it's very important when it's picking a name. So
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's go to the logo. You have an amazing logo, by the way.
Thanks.
So how did you choose it? Is it done by artists, or did you pick one of the online services?
Yeah, we used an artist, a graphic artist that I've known for several years, a good friend, and she's young. She's just starting out her graphic design career, and wanted to give her first crack at it, and had a good feeling that she would do a very good job, and she did. And I ran that kind of steampunkish, not full on steampunk, but steampunk-ish idea by her, and she loved that. She loves that kind of genre, so I knew she would be the person to go to for this, and she did a great job. She gave me she I'll give her a name in just a second. She gave me a sheet of several ideas, just kind of general sketches, and the cup just really stood out first. That was it, and then we kind of tweaked it here and there. Did some stuff to it, but we're really, really happy with the way it turned out. And it's strong, just like the whole concept of iron and reliability, trustworthiness. Her name is Hannah England, right? And Hannah is just spelled like Hannah. We typically pronounce it Hannah, Hannah. So Hannah England, just like the country. And you can find her through a Google search. You can find her Facebook page.
I can put her link on our show notes.
Yeah. Hannah England. So she's does really good work.
Cool. I just to tell to the listeners that there are a few options online, and I tried them all. So I'll kind of share my experience. So there's Fiverr.com. I don't know if you heard about this service. You can get.
I've used Fiverr one time for just a tiny little project. It was good.
It was good. Well, I used it for many things, and let's say translations worked very well. I was very happy with that. My jingle for my Slovak podcast, it's amazing for $5. I don't know why the guy did it, but when it comes to logos, I did already 3 or 4 projects there just as a test, because $5, why not? And they are horrible. I got such a rubbish. Seriously, it's I can do better job than that. So it's probably not the best for logos, but maybe something else too good. Then I did Elancer recently when we were going to launch this coffeecourses.com, which I don't know what's going to happen with that, but at this point it's still there. And that logo did not work. I mean, I worked a lot with that freelancer we chosen. He had a great portfolio, but when it came to creating our logo, that just did not work. The guy just, I wasn't happy with that decision. And, it wasn't cheapest. It was around $200. So now we're going from 5 to 200.
Wow.
And a third online service which I used is 99 Designs. And that was better because Willem's company, Willem Booth, Spark Coffee, Spark Tech, which sells the Gießen roasters in United States, their logo was from 99 Designs. And how it works is that you get different designers competing for a project. And I think it's around $300, but you end up with a logo you like the best, and it's a week process, and that was pretty cool. I mean, it's not my favorite logo, but for them it worked. But yeah, it's with coffeecourses.com, which we tried through Elancer, we had to go back and actually hire a professional designer. So I don't know. The logo is very tough.
Yeah, I think one of the advantages of going with finding one person, and that could be on Fiverr, that could be on Elance, it could. But if you know someone whose work you like we did, the advantage of sticking with that person through a lot of the projects that you have come up, packaging, website, logo, all this stuff, is that she knows this stuff like the back of her hand now, and knows the look we're going for, and can harmonize it and fit it all together so it's like one big package of stuff that's all just goes together perfectly. So I think that's the single biggest advantage of sticking with one person when you find that person.
Yeah, I agree with you. At Green Plantation, we did the same. We hired actually from California because, again, I'm very sensitive when it comes to logos. I'm really like, I don't know what I want, and I will not let you be until you give me that.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, but it's like, the designers are many times kind of confused that, what the heck is this guy wants? And I use Jenna Esser here in California. She used to design packaging for Williams Sonoma, which is a catalog brand for cookware, kind of very fancy stuff. And she was the one who kind of managed to pick my brain and just chatting about different things. And she really got my my feelings, like how do I feel about design? How do I feel about certain images? And she designed our Green Plantation logo, and I was the happiest man on earth. I mean, I'm really happy with that logo. I mean, we didn't have a logo for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's. I agree. If I can ask you, how much does it cost to hire a professional designer?
There's quite a range, but you're typically looking at somewhere now on the very low end for ones that do themselves justice, maybe like $50 an hour, but up to $100 an hour. And Hannah, at this point in time at least, she may get so good and so in demand that she might raise her prices, and justifiably so. But she would fall somewhere in the middle of that, as far as I remember, and she can correct me on that if if that's not true. But somewhere in the $50 to $100 an hour range. And, the hours do start adding up a little bit, but you can't skimp on your logo. You can't skimp on this branding stuff. You can't. You have to get it right from the beginning. At least it's best to. It's best to get it right from the beginning. So I wouldn't say price is no object, money's no object, but I did not want to skimp on the logo and the branding.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. So this is interesting because I never paid by hour. I always paid by project. Where is Hannah from?
Hannah she's also from Richmond originally, but now she's up in the DC area, Northern Virginia, working for a design firm up there. But then she does freelance as well. So, yeah. And so, depending on the project too, depending on the project, she may charge by project. I think she's done both for us, but yeah. So that's maybe just, it might depend on what project you give her.
Okay, so I share my cost, so just the guys will know the differences. So we said that the Fiverr is $5. The 99 Design can cost you around $300. The Coffee Courses logo, I hired a Slovak artist, and we paid I think €100 for that, which was a ridiculously low price. He's a big fan he's a big fan of Green Plantation, and he's just starting. So again, as you said, as he gets more customers, he will know his value, and he's prices will probably, grow. And well, for the Green Plantation logo, that cost me a lot because I exchanged it for a website, and for me, I used to do websites as my main business. And I would normally charge for a website like that $3,000. So I would say that it's 1-to-1, but I'm very happy with it. And Jenna is doing, other jobs, for me. So I'm still utilizing that website. She does the cup design and the packaging. She just did the packaging design for us, which is like amazing. So I got the whole package with that. So not
cool.
only a logo.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so we did logo. So let's talk about my favorite topic, by the way, your pre-launch social media strategy and your website. So let's start with the social media strategy. So what kind of social media channels are you utilizing right now?
We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, Google Plus, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Those are the main ones we're on, I guess. Mainly using Facebook and Twitter right now. Instagram, we just kind of have a few photos up as placeholders. Mm-hmm. Just not a lot to take photos of right now since I'm in Ireland and we're 2 to 3 months away from actually being in the roastery. So it's just kind of sitting there dormant at the moment. But we did go ahead and create all the accounts lest anyone snap them up before we could get them. Outside chance, but it never hurts to jump on that. So yeah, that's mainly what we're doing.
I saw your social media, and I saw that you are most active on Facebook. I'm not that active on Twitter, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm not a big Twitter guy either. Personally, I as a personal sort of thing, I don't like Twitter at all. I don't have much time for it. But with the business, I know at least some level of it is a good thing.
I'm starting to enjoy Instagram. And I agree that that's one of the biggest issues also with me, that I'm not in the roastery in Green Plantation. So, I cannot make pictures of the everyday life and the coffee sacks and the roasters. I'm too far away from that. But what we did, we hired a designer. She's an artist. And she's, again, a student. And she does amazing drawings. And she used to work as a barista. Now she doesn't drink coffee, actually. She stopped drinking coffee. And her name is Chris Shagan, and she draws. And I gave her total liberty. We pay her, and we said, "Look, just draw whatever you want. Just make sure somewhere there's a, like a little coffee cup with our logo or something." And she does amazing pictures. And if you follow our Instagram, not Green Plantation Instagram, then you can see her artwork. And I'm so happy with that. I'm really, really happy what she does, and it's fun. It's really, really fun. So this is how we utilize Instagram right now.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess then after you launch, your social media strategy will change, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, there's only so much we can do with it right now because we're just roasters being built, packaging's being designed, t-shirts had t-shirts printed, mugs have been made. So we've done that, but at the moment, there's just, there's not a whole lot other than just trying to network with people and tell people we're on the way and kind of build a little bit of excitement. Do as much of that as possible, but there's only so much excitement that you can build without having, being in the roastery.
Mm-hmm. Did you pay for any social internet ads?
None yet. We haven't done any yet, but as we get closer to opening and after we've opened, I do like Facebook ads. I've done quite a lot of work with Facebook ads through various other work projects, non-coffee related work projects. So I've gotten a good feel for that. So I think we'll want to utilize that. I just like the way you can target so specifically who you're looking for. Oh,
I love Facebook ads. Those are my favorite. I mean, exactly the targeting, and you just know who you talk to, and it's good both ways. One, I don't spend my money on people who I will annoy. On the other hand, people who get my ad actually interested in that. One thing which I do not recommend on Facebook anyone is doing the followers page likes, paying for page likes. That's nowadays, you cannot really utilize it very well. Your money is basically, I think, wasted. But yeah, all the ads. And by the way, do you build email list right now, or?
Yeah, we are building an email list. That's going really slow at the moment, but we're having someone build us a little pop-up box. And I debated that because when those pop-up boxes first started showing up on websites a few years ago, they annoyed me. But now it's so commonplace. I think I don't mind anymore. So we're actually having someone, and a lot of websites that I respected, companies I respected, big companies that do a good job, have them on there, and just a real simple, friendly invitation to sign up to the email newsletters. So we're having someone design that for us for the website. It's not up yet, but yeah, I think that's very important to get folks on your email newsletter list.
Yeah, I agree. I think that should be a focus of every company because Facebook can go away, highly unlikely, or they can change terms or whatever, and your email list stays with you. And people who are willing to give their emails to you, they trust you. And that's a very big thing, So I think that building email list should be priority of everyone. And I think that little pop-up windows are okay. I was the same. Then I started to use them at Bootcamp Coffee, the project which I work most, in United States, and they just work perfect. They are great, and you can close them. You just make sure that people can close them very fast if they don't want them. But if you give them some value, like in our case, we give them free articles. I think that's fair to ask for the email, And if they don't want to give it, just fine. Okay, that's fine. But
yeah, and I think that's become so much more the standard now that it used to be pop-ups were kind of limited and relegated to just kind of shady things, but now pop-ups they're nice looking, they're sleek looking. You can close them quickly. And they've got a nice little message and photo on there. You make it look nice and like part of the website. I think it works. So that's what we're going with.
Yeah, especially if you give some value with that.
Yeah.
If you can add some value to that, that's really, I think it's even fair. I would say that, because as you said, they used to be shady because they popped up anywhere on your website. You read about, some products, suddenly they pop up. I don't think that's fair. That's annoying. But if you really offer something and in return you want the email, that's offering a deal, offering a handshake, and the handshake doesn't have to happen. So
right.
Yeah,
right. Yep.
Cool. So I think we agree that email list is very important, and that should be, I think, priority of every company to build an email list because that's
Definitely.
yours.
Yep, definitely.
So let's talk about your website. I remember when you were building it. As far as I know, you did not do it yourself. You did not do any of these, like internet services. You hired a designer. Is that correct?
Correct. And also someone I knew, very, very talented young woman. And I played around with a few things, just seeing, testing myself out to see if I could get something on my own to save a few bucks that looked good. But what I built on my own was it was okay, but, not good enough. Not good enough to convince people that they need to shop with us and buy and drink our coffee, and not good enough to justify what we spent on the logo and the branding packages. I think it needs to all be, it needs to fit with each other. So we went and hired this young lady, and she did really, really great job, and worked kind of hand in hand with our graphic designer. They actually worked together a lot as it was being built, which was a huge help.
So is she American?
American, yep. Mm-hmm. Also from Virginia, from a different part of Virginia, but now she lives in North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina. Her name's Maggie Josie. It's Josey, and she's got a day job as well, working for a magazine as a graphic designer, but she freelances some as well, and she's very reasonable for what she does and her talent level. So highly recommended as well, Maggie.
So what were the most important elements when you decided to go for a website?
The most important element, I think, is going to be the web store, which is currently being built. And Maggie didn't do the web store. She's just the architect and the designer, the aesthetics. And then on her recommendation, I found another firm that's doing the web store, the e-commerce side of it, because I think that has to be flawless. That has to be has to be user friendly. That has to be flawless, no mistakes. It has to work just like you want it to work. I think because that's it. That's where you're making your sales. At least online. That's where the sales are happening. So I think that was the most important part. We're paying a little more, extra for the e-commerce side, and then I guess the other part is the homepage. Obviously has to look good, has to look the part. I think we've got a section on there as well for education to teach people. I think we just call it Learn, and just some tips and ideas, and teaching them more about coffee and how to make great coffee. So that's on there as well. And then a blog. I don't know how much we'll use the blog, but I know that's really good for making your site come up high on search engines. The more content you put out there that's relevant, I guess that helps a lot. So we'll try to do a relevant blog as often as possible, and then also infographics. We're going to put a lot of infographics up for various things because people like those. So
infographics work. I know that.
Yep.
When it comes to blog, and that's my personal advice to anyone who's starting websites, is that you either do an amazing job or you don't do it. It's that simple, because there is so much content out there already, and you just basically get lost, and you'll be surprised. You will work a lot and nobody will read that. But if you make it somehow relevant, as you said, or you somehow connect it with certain hot topics somehow, I don't know, you have to be innovative here, then they can really pick up. And here I will say the example of Bootcamp Coffee. We're doing this for 3 years now, and we always had a blog, not very active. And, when we put up some videos about Coffee Farm, which is okay, it's interesting, but it's not hot. It's people like, oh, okay. So we got some visitors, but very few on those. But once I kind of started to research, thanks to certain forums, that what people are interested in, what do coffee roasters, dream about, and I address that topic. I mean, we get on one article 5,000 people, which in this industry, that's a lot of people.
That's good.
We had 10,000 in one article, so it really depends. But it's in Green Plantation we have a blog, but it doesn't really work because I just could not find yet the soul of the potential visitors. So anyhow, so that's my suggestion for if you want to blog or not. What kind of system do you use, by the way? Do you use WordPress for your website?
It is WordPress, yep. And that's what Maggie, our web designer, she specializes in that, and really talented at giving you whatever you're looking for through a WordPress platform. The web store will be WooCommerce, or do you? It will be WooCommerce. I believe they are designing on the platform of WooCommerce. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good choice.
Yeah.
my favorite combo.
Yeah.
And also the WooCommerce is basically, just to tell the other guys, that WooCommerce is as a plugin for WordPress, right, and it turns your WordPress site into a shop, e-shop. And the good thing about WooCommerce is that it's used by many people. There's a lot of extra plugins which can extend it for you, so it's really cool. And not only that, but recently WooCommerce was bought by WordPress. So that means that in the future we can expect a lot of amazing integrations, and it will just work together like one soul, and that's what you want.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I was very happy about that because I run all my, Green Plantation is run on WooCommerce and WordPress, and we are very happy with it. And there are bugs here and there, it happens. It's tech, but it's probably much better than you would use something else, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, so your next steps are basically to do the e-commerce part, the WooCommerce or whatever we're going to use, and potentially start a blog, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the learning part, right?
Yes, the learning part, and as well, we have the packaging being designed at the moment. We've been at that quite a while. You got to get the packaging right. So, and Hannah, our graphic designer, is doing that for us as well, just to kind of do a homogeneous look throughout the whole website, logo, social media, packaging, to create a nice unified look. So that's in process. And then learning, just reading more, watching more videos, and then getting to it.
So there you have it. That was the second part of the interview with Ryan O'Rourke, who is starting a coffee roasting company, Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Thank you for listening, and I hope you really enjoyed. You know what? Let me know. You let me know if you like this podcast, if you enjoy it, and if so, what is the thing you enjoy the most, and what would you improve? Do not forget to leave those iTunes reviews, because I really want them. So thank you so much. I'm an iTunes review collector. You can also join our Facebook community, and the easiest way how to do it is to go to website coffeeis.me, click on the top you have the community, and that takes you to our group. You apply and I'll approve you. Thanks again, and let's talk again in a third episode where Ryan will talk more about the crowdfunding, so you can get some change for your companies. Excellent. Talk to you soon. Bye.